What's up, guys? I don't even know how to start. Preview. All right. I welcome you all to the third episode of The Prince Thoughts. And today I have a lady here, a married woman. She's married. Trust me, I'm serious. She's married. You know, I'm not going to lie. But you know the good part of it, she's married to me. So she did our podcast first. She did our podcast. Then I wanted to bring someone else as well. Oh, okay, let me just lie a little bit. So I wanted to bring someone, and I was like, you know what? Are you available? The person was like, no, I'm not available. I'm busy. So I just found this lady on Instagram. I was like, are you available for my podcast September 15th? And she was like, yeah, I'm available. And I was not like, do you mind if we marry? Like, are you down for marriage? And she was like, yeah, she's down for marriage. And that was it. We just got married like under 1 week. If you believe that, it's at your own risk. Anyways, welcome to the third episode of the Prince Thoughts podcast. And I have Olamide, formerly Olamide Haolu, but now Olamide Femi-Onafadeji. Oh,
yo.
feeling myself.
Yeah.
All right. So before we go into what we have for today, I'd just like you to briefly introduce yourself to the audience. Let us get to meet you.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you very much. Mr. Femi, my own lovely husband.
But look at the camera.
Thank you very much. So yeah, my name is Olamide. I think I'm still used to saying my name is Olamide Aholu, but you know now I'm trying to get used to it. So yeah, my name is Olamide Femi-Onafadeji, and I'm an intentional living expert. So I help people live a purposeful and authentic life by making conscious efforts that are in line with their goals, their visions, and they're just life design basically. I'm a very minimalist person and very quiet. So yes, well, I think that's what you should know about me. Yeah? You can just check up on my IG page as well, and I think you can get to know more about me from there.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. If we're other guests now, I would just say, okay, yeah, she's actually. Did you say quiet or gentle?
I'm not gentle, but I'm quiet.
Are you quiet? Well, let's not bring family matters into this. All right, so let's go straight into it. We've had series of podcasts. We've had series of episodes. No, sorry, I'm saying series. It's just two. This is the third one. You delayed us. Your sins are forgiven.
You don't have to say.
So we've had like 2 podcasts before now, and what we've been trying to do is like have a build up on the first one. We started with I've forgotten the title again. Remind me in the comments. So we started with that with Dara. I should remember, he's a very, very popular artist. Then we went to Ibe, now we have you. So we'll be talking about the journey to fulfillment. So Olamide is going to be taking us on that journey together. We'll get to understand what it actually means to say, oh, I'm living a fulfilled life. So it's like I'm already asking my question already, but it's going to be a short one. And if it's long, just accept it that way. So the first question I'm going to ask you now, Olamide, is that what does fulfillment means to you? Like, what does it actually mean to you? When you say, oh, I'm fulfilled, like what does fulfillment actually mean?
Amazing. I think I really love that question. Thank you very much for that question. I think it's a good one there. So to me, I feel like fulfillment is living that life that you were born for, that is original to you. And DDK would call it your bedazzled life.
Your what?
Your bedazzled life.
Bedazzled.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you know DDK, you would understand. So DDK would call it your bedazzled life. My bedazzled life would be my life of fulfillment. That life that is original to me. That life that I think I have to live authentically, showing up in my best way, showing up as I am, not showing up for the culture, not showing up for the trend, but showing up as I am, living my best life every day, and ensuring that even as I keep on showing up, I still remain true to myself. I think that would be my definition of a life of fulfillment. And the reason I actually went that route is because when people tend to live a life of fulfillment, there tend to be this running here and there, trying to think that your life of fulfillment is when you host a program, or when you look like what do they call them now? When you look like celebrities, or when you sound like celebrities, or when you have like a similar characteristic with a celebrity, or when you host big events that make waves. That's what people usually call fulfillment. But doing my study and just really like observing lives, I've actually come to see that fulfillment is actually not an event. It's a journey. You keep feeling fulfilled every day, and the moment you feel that, oh, I think there's something wrong here, I'm not sure of what I am doing, I think there's something wrong here, it means there's something wrong. That's why you're not feeling fulfilled. You might have felt fulfilled yesterday, and that is why I said that fulfillment is not an event. It's not something that you feel fulfilled today and then you feel like, oh, let's take a break, then we can feel fulfilled next year. It's an everyday thing. Yeah. I know it's a lot.
It's an everyday thing. So
yes.
You were talking about, I think one of the things that I really stood out for me is when you're talking about, just to be sure. So if I'm going out of point, you can always call me back. So the fulfillment is not actually like an arrival, like to a destination, or like an event, like a particular happening, but it is that journey that is the fulfillment. So with the way you said it now, I'm a little bit confused.
Okay.
I'm confused. Now, the question I want to ask now is, are you saying that what people call fulfillment, like which is the event, like, and like a particular happening, that they say, oh, I feel fulfilled, or this is, maybe somebody says at the end of my maybe schooling session now, I feel fulfilled and stuff like that. So are you saying that that thing that people call fulfillment is not actually fulfillment? Like, are you explicitly saying it is not what they call fulfillment?
I love how this conversation is going to be very honest, because there's been this thing that has been on my mind and has actually been sort of like a topic of concern to me. I've noticed that in our generation, we are tending to lose the actual definition of words. And because we are losing the actual definition of words, when we hear some certain words, there are some definition, there are some things that come to our mind that are not even the original meaning of those words in the first place. So for instance, now when people say, oh, she's a victim of circumstance, what comes to people's mind first of all is like, oh, maybe she's suffering, or maybe she's poor,
or she was raped.
Most times people don't understand that if you're rich, okay, just like how this conversation is going, you said, so when people have like, maybe they have like a very big event, or there's something they've been chasing, and they finally like arrived at that destination they've been chasing, and they say, I feel fulfilled. If fulfillment to that person is an event, there is a very high tendency, especially if that person does not have a very good community that can spur you to go for more, there's a very high tendency that the person pitches his tent in that fulfillment, and before you know what is happening, the person fizzles out. Because there is no hunger. You like, feel relaxed that, oh, we've arrived. Like, so fulfillment is not an arrival. Fulfillment is a journey, right? So I feel like we can actually do better with our words, trying to really go back to the dictionary, be studious students again, to really know the meaning of the words that we use, because to be very honest, it has actually done more harm than good to society. So going back to the question when you asked that, am I saying that if someone achieves a feat,
yes, that is not the fulfillment, like it should not be called fulfillment? So
for instance, when you're on your journey,
let me put it in a proper way. I think what I want to say is, are you saying achievement should not be called fulfillment?
In actual sense, I would say yes and I would say no. And the reason is, the way our mind works is dependent on how we've trained our minds. So for me, if I achieve a feat, I call it fulfillment. But because of the way I've trained my mind, I understand that this fulfillment is like a rest spot for me to like, we are making progress, but this is not the final stop. Do you get it now? So that's a sort of like a yes and no answer. It depends on how much you've trained your mind and your perspective to things, to words. And that's why I said knowing the actual meaning of words is actually very, very important and because it's going to really affect the way that we live our lives.
So I have a comment there before I go to my next question. Mm-hmm. So actually my next question was also derived from what you said. So, but the comment I want to make is, are you saying that? So for me, what I think, based on what you said, if I'm wrong, please just let me know. Based on what you said, I think the way it translates, the way I am perceiving it or the way I'm receiving it is that if you get to a point where you feel like you've achieved something, it can be called fulfillment. I'm going somewhere, and you can also get to a point, same achievement, and you feel like you've not fulfilled it yet. So basically, I feel like what you're trying to say is dependent on the mindset of the person,
absolutely,
of the individual. So let's say, for instance, for you now, you might achieve a particular time, you feel like you're fulfilled, and for me, I can feel like no. So you're saying basically it's dependent on every individual, our mindsets. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. You will hear like really influential people say, oh, this is just the beginning, and you're like,
and you be like, that beginning is where I want to get
to. Beginning? Where's my beginning? So that's just it. And exposure will really change your mind when you're exposed. Some people, you can hear people earning 500k and they're feeling on top of the world. They're already becoming rude. They're giving character and all of that. And when they now meet someone like someone earning 2M in a month,
and the person is still
living normal, then you're challenged, especially if you're someone who is open to learning. And that is the reason your community is very important. If you're among people who are not resting, as they're achieving this one, they are going to the next. You yourself, you can't rest.
You no go sleep
at all.
No sleep for the weekend.
At all, no sleep.
Even for the good sleep. This time
even
around.
For the people who are after impact and who are after living a purposeful life, there's no rest. The only rest you have is that all things are working together for your good. But aside from that, there's no rest, because you'll be up all night. You'll be up at night to work. You're thinking of this and that. There's some kind of life you cannot live because of that destination that you're going.
Yes, so I really got that, and I think we can even just wrap up the podcast here. You've buttressed on it. The funny thing was, where I was preparing this topic, I was never seeing it from this light, like at all. Like I did not even see it from this light. So it's more like you came to call me out too, and then like you are one of those people that when you achieve something, that's why I was asking that question, because I was like, but when we achieve, we should be able to say that I feel fulfilled doing all of this thing. So I'm able to understand now that our mindset does a lot of things to us when it comes to fulfillment to some people. So I want to ask like a question, and I don't want to sound like a question. So are you saying that to some people, fulfillment will never be a word that you'll find in their dictionary?
Okay.
Because like you talked about two categories of people. You talked about those that get to a particular point and they start on CV that we've arrived, and some people that feel like, okay, there's more that we can do. So are you saying that those people that feel like there is more to life, like there is more that they can do, are you saying that there's never going to be a time where they will say, I'm fulfilled, So it's giving Nollywood vibe that maybe when they are now at the age of 100 and they are on their dying bed or whatever they call it, they'll now say, hey, I'm fulfilled now that there's no strength to do all of these things. Are you saying that is how it works for them? Sorry for the Nollywood mind I'm using. I'm just trying to visualize it.
Very, very dicey question.
Yeah,
and it's a dicey question because a lot of people are going to be listening to this podcast, and they are calling out podcasters now. So I have to be very careful with what I say. But
okay, so before you proceed, whatever you need to say now, you can just say it in your own words. So don't come for her.
No, come for me.
If you come for her, you're coming for me. So she's just saying what she feels. So it's personal. So like I mentioned in one of the podcasts that when you listen to podcasts like this, just know that whatever the person is saying does not necessarily mean that is how it must be. So you can be of the opinion that she's wrong. Fine, it's okay. It's okay. We are just airing, and if you've been following us for a while now, you hear me say it over and over that we are just saying what we know. So this is just us saying what we believe. Tomorrow now we can wake up and say, oh, you know what? Everything we've said no, is wrong. So you get, because nobody is an island of knowledge.
Yeah,
We've always believed that, and every guest on this podcast has always been hammering on that this is just what we believe personally.
Yeah,
so you can go on.
Absolutely.
I think I've done the disclaimer already for you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so for me, looking at the lives of people who have really impacted me, I can't take a very close focus into their life. Like, I can't completely zoom in, but from the proximity that I have with them, or from the closeness I have with them, fulfillment is not that word that is ready. You know, when they say ready to wear, ready to eat, it's not a ready to something in many people's mouth. And that's because of quite a number of factors. The way the world views fulfillment, their own understanding of fulfillment, and there is a way that your mindset can actually pick your words. So even when you hear people who understand that fulfillment is a journey, even when you hear them mention the word fulfillment, if you're listening from the beginning to the end, without you consciously having that understanding that fulfillment is a journey, that understanding dawns on you because of the way they used the word. So that's how I'm going to answer that question.
That was wisdom. You didn't go directly to where I was going to, but that was nice. So I've kind of picked a lot of things from what you said, and like I said, it's beyond what I was expecting and what I was thinking. So you've mentioned the kind of community you find yourself and how that it affects you. You will now be able to decide if you are one of those people that feel like fulfillment is an event or a journey. So, and also the mindset, you talked about mindsets and how it comes to play. So with all of these things now, I feel like before we set out on a journey to fulfillment, don't leave me, before you set out on a journey to fulfillment. So I feel like you are trying to tell us that it is right for us to get our mindset together first. We should have like a proper mindset towards whatever we are doing. And this topic just feels it feels like we are expanding into some other things, because the way I see it, I feel like it's even beyond talking about journey to fulfillment. I think that all of these things that we said, it cuts across different aspects of life. Like, for instance, when it comes to talking about purpose, for instance, now, because I've been in one of your teaching where you said that purpose is a journey and not a destination, right? So so are you trying to say that, okay, now let me bring in purpose and fulfillment together?
Absolutely.
Are you saying that most of the times when people come, they say, oh, this is my purpose? Are you saying that they can never get to a point where they feel like they have fulfilled that purpose?
You know,
it's tough for me, like, so you can take it in and try to understand, because I'm just trying to play with those things in my head to get the right thing.
I was listening to a podcast again by DDK and Pastor Emisi, and she said something that I can't exactly quote her, but I'm going to sort of like try to paraphrase. She said, purpose is a journey with the author of life. And if you know that you're journeying with the author of life, it means that before you got on the journey started. And when you get to the end of your own journey, the journey is still continuing. It's just that you're not there. So, and that's just my own understanding from what she said. What she said ended there, but that explanation is what, So when we talk about purpose, I feel like the same way a lot of people have started talking about purpose is the same way many people still need to arise to give the correction, because we've left the track. Purpose was supposed to bring people to alignment, but it has taken a lot of people out of alignment. So talking about you asking me if I'm saying that there will never be a time when someone would say, oh, I'm finally fulfilled. I've lived a life of purpose. I understand that not all our viewers are believers, are Christians, but I know that everybody can relate to what I'm about to say. So, we understand that purpose is a journey. You can't say, if you're going to, say, for instance, if you're going to somewhere in Lagos, no matter the bus stops you've gotten to, it is progress, but you've not gotten to your destination.
Okay.
Right. So the first thing that we need to even talk about is, what do people understand as purpose? And what is the understanding of fulfillment? When you say that something, I am fulfilled, it means, I don't know, it's the way I've trained my mind. When I think of fulfillment, the only thing I can think of is when Apostle Paul said, I have finished my race, I have fought the good fight. That's what comes to my mind. Yes, when I have wins, I celebrate them. Those are progresses. But for the one who gave me the assignment is not complete. It's just like when your mathematics teacher gives you a question and then you show your workings, but you didn't come back to tell us that this is your final answer. Or you show us the formula that you are using, but you still did not give us the final answer. Yeah, you tried, but you've not gotten them. So it is very dicey as well, because we can say, oh, what about those whose lives were cut short? Am I trying to say that they are not living in purpose well? Till their life was taken, they were living in purpose. That's a purposeful life. The question is, there should never be a time when you're still alive and you say, because I think my life's purpose is to be a life coach. Now that I'm a life coach, I'm done. Yeah. So it still boils down to what we understand by these two fundamental words.
That was very, very, very awesome. So I'm just going to share two things that I think I've picked from this, and we'll be wrapping up from there. Just except you still have things you want to say. So I feel like this podcast should be the shortest, if I'm not wrong. It should be like the shortest.
I don't
podcast.
want it to be the shortest. I mean, I'm the first female. What do you mean?
No. Shortest in the sense that not short because like the clip. I mean, you were quick to hit the nail on the head. And I really like that. So I think one thing I picked from what you said, I'm just going to let it out, is that on the journey to fulfillment is where you find fulfillment. So like while you're on that journey itself is where the fulfillment is, not at the end of the journey. Am I right?
Not exactly.
Okay. So like what can you say about that? Because that was what I was able to pick for at first.
So if I understand what you're saying clearly, you're saying that
what I'm saying is that, just like you said, that there are two categories of people. There are people that get to a point and feel like there's still more, while there are people that get there and feel like that is all that they can achieve.
Absolutely.
So I'm saying that on that journey to fulfillment, like why you say, oh, I'm on a journey to fulfillment, this is what I want to achieve on the other day.
Yes.
Or maybe like you feel like, okay, I'm setting out on a journey to fulfillment. That is exactly where the fulfillment is in that process, that the fulfillment is not at the event, the actual event, like not the end of the movie or something like that.
Yes, I get what you're saying. And something even cut across my mind while you were talking about that journey, but I think that I should have gotten a pen and a paper or something. You see, one thing that we really need to understand is that at the end of the day, as much as we are going to receive rewards for this fulfillment that we are all fighting for, that we are all living for, the beauty and the fulfillment that actually comes to us is how much of ourselves we understood, how much of our strengths we explored, beyond how much of ourselves we gave out, is how much of yourself you understood, how much of your strengths, your gifts you explored. Not even, yes, I understand the importance of giving it to the world, but if you didn't explore it, there's no way you can give it out. Because on that journey to fulfillment, first of all, is the step of self-awareness that comes from the place of what did I call it the other time? self-realization, self-awareness, self-discovery. Absolutely. So it is from that place of you saying, oh, I never knew I could do this, or I never even knew I could react that way. I need to correct that. Sincerely speaking, I don't know, like I said, the way I think and the way my mind works, that's like, when you're being compensated before you get reward, that's like a compensation when you understand yourself more. For instance, if you're trying to say, like me now, say I want to host a program and I need to work with a lot of people. It's not a virtual program. I'm going to, it's going to be physical. I need a physical space. I need to work with a lot of vendors, a lot of people. And then on that journey, I realized that I'm not a team player. Okay. I realized that I don't have as much patience as I thought I have. I realized that I'm not as excellent as I think I am. Right. So if I understand that this event, I feel that sort of like light fulfillment, but with the understanding that there is more. There's
more. That's not all that
it will help me to take stock. How did I do? This thing that I saw, how can I work on it? What book can I read that will help me? What course? Who can I talk to that will help me on this journey? Who can I be accountable to that will ensure that I am more excellent? If we have that kind of mindset, we understand that even on that journey to fulfillment, there is the side fulfillment that comes. There is the compensation and all that comes, not necessarily the end reward, the end results that we'll achieve. I don't know if you get. And at the end of the day, this side stuff that we get as we move on is what chisels us out, what refines us, what puts us in shape for the greater things that we have. Because the higher you go on this journey of fulfillment, the bigger the challenges, the bigger the assignment, the bigger the dreams, the bigger the plans, the tighter your design, the tighter your schedule. Do you understand? So if you understand that this is a journey and it's not necessarily about the fulfillment at the end, but about enjoying the process, you're going to be able to enjoy everything, put everything in place, your weaknesses.
And you build on what
you ensure that you're sharpening yourself.
All right, so thank you very much for all that you've said. I think you've done justice to this topic. There's one final question I want to ask before we call it a date. So the final question is based on what you said. You said that we should understand. Okay, what I was able to pick, let me put it that way because I might have written it the wrong way. So you said that everyone should understand, like you should understand your own meaning of purpose. Absolutely. And what fulfillment means to you. Yeah. So are you saying that everybody should, like more like a question, like everybody should understand what purpose means to them and what fulfillment means to them before they kickstart that journey?
Thank you very much for that very insightful question, and I must say that you're a very good listener. So, to be very honest, it's going to be very chaotic for me to say that everybody should have their own definition of purpose and fulfillment, because the world can't stand it. In fact, these little ones that we are seeing here and there has caused a lot of chaos already. But what I meant by that statement is that before you can come to that point where you say, oh, what I know about this is wrong, you must know what you know. That's what I'm trying to say. So when you now come to that understanding that, oh, what I think about purpose is actually what it's not, or what I think about fulfillment is actually what it is not, then you can now seek knowledge. You can now seek the right knowledge. Do you understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, everybody must come to that point where we really know what these things are, because they are the things that will actually guide our living. For someone who wants to live a purposeful life but has a wrong perspective to purpose, it's not going to end well. Do you get that line of thought now?
Yeah, I get. I have one more question. Okay. This one is not supposed to be a part of it, so I'm just going to add it. And if possible, we might even end it abruptly after asking this question. So are you saying that it's just me I'm just trying to tease everywhere, but eventually it might make sense to you and maybe you have an answer to, but I'm just trying to pull your legs. So are you saying that there's a unified, are you saying there is or there is not a unified meaning of purpose?
There's a unified meaning of purpose.
Okay.
We can argue it, and we can have a different perspective to that same unified meaning of purpose, because there's an originator of purpose, and he had one meaning for it. He had one intention behind it. So the perspective to which you see it can influence your interpretation, can influence your definition. But at the end of the day, there is one definition to purpose, because there is one originator of purpose, and he had one intent towards purpose.
So she has answered it perfectly, because there's something else I wanted to say.
Okay.
But the way you said it now, it's just best that as if my mouth. But I'm just going to mention it. I wanted to say that when you said there is one unified purpose, one unified meaning of purpose, I wanted to say, what if what you think is purpose is not what purpose is? So, but when you said there is one originator, meaning that we can always go back. It's just like going back to the actual textbook. When you are reading chemistry, you are reading, there's one very, very annoying topic that used to scatter your head. But when you go back to it, you now refresh your memory. So you are saying that there is one originator. That even when what you know about purpose is not, maybe you are now being challenged, you are now thinking, is that actually the meaning? You can always go back to the originator that gave us the templates of what purpose should look like. All right, thank you.
Okay, so one last thing that I would want to say is that, you see, this life that we live is actually a very, very beautiful life. You see, that thing that you said now brought me to actually think of something. This game that we usually play, and they will say, one person will tell somebody something, and you have to, at the end of the day, the last person actually heard something completely different. And that's because there was a break somewhere in the communication. Probably somebody communicated right, but the person decided to, take the information,
way the person took the information, and the way was able to
interpret it and send
pass it to another person.
So at the end of the day, the truth is that even some people who have given us a wrong perspective about purpose, it was not deliberate. You hear people who say, there's just one thing that, yes, it is true, there is one thing, but that one thing is not something that can be boxed. For instance, someone says, my life purpose is to be a life coach. That could just be a means. At the end of the day, it's a symphony. Everything just comes to play. So it's just the way people relate with God, relate with these things, and when they take it in their environment, their exposure, their knowledge will affect how they process it, and then they're able to take on that meaning to communicate with other people. So at the end of the day, it's just one meaning. And
perfect. Thank you very much. So you've really done justice to this. Thank you everyone for watching.
Yes,
you've heard it all from my wife, Asif.
It's an honor. I'm so glad, finally to be here.
So we've come to the end of today's session, and I know that it was very powerful. You can always go over the video. You have it available for free, right? So you can always go over it. Just keep on watching, and also guide yourself with a lot of resources out there. So like I said, these are things that we know for ourselves. You can always expand. You can always explore. In fact, you can come back tomorrow and tell us that there's something you said that is not completely right. Yes, we'll take feedback. Why are we young? It's not like we're 100 years old and we know the whole, but even 100 years old, we don't know
still learning.
Exactly. You learn to the point of death. So thank you very much. Please do well to subscribe to our channel.
Thank you.
Follow us on all our social media platforms. Yes, we have a mailing list. You should join our mailing list so that you don't miss out on updates from us, regardless of whatever it is. So we'll be having different contents coming out later on. Not necessarily just the podcast, but we're pushing out some things so that's going to help you on this journey to becoming someone sweet.
Just on the journey to becoming.
Peace out. Prince Dynamic signing out.
Yep.